Yellowstone National Park is known for its beauty and wonder, with its towering geysers and its geothermal pools that bubble and steam with a magnitude of colors. However, this is a place of danger. The park's geothermal features, while mesmerizing, are deadly. Visitors who venture too far off the path, intrigued by the prospect of quote-unquote hot potting or seeking a closer look at the pools, often find themselves in life-threatening situations. Yellowstone National Park is home to an extraordinary array of hydrothermal features, boasting more than 10,000 distinct phenomena, including hot springs, geysers, mud pots, and fumaroles. These features are the surface manifestations of the park's underground hydrothermal system, which is fueled by the heat from the Yellowstone volcano. As the groundwater percolates down, it is heated by this subterranean heat source and rises back to the surface, creating the most mesmerizing thermal displays that draw millions of visitors to the park each year. The park's geysers, perhaps, are its most iconic attractions, with over 500 active geysers recorded. These natural wonders erupt periodically, shooting columns of hot water and steam into the air. The frequency and the height of these eruptions vary among geysers, like Old Faithful, displaying a remarkable regularity. In addition to the geysers, Yellowstone's hot springs, such as the Grand Prismatic Spring, captivate observers with their vivid colors, resulting from heat-loving microorganisms known as thermopiles that thrive in such extreme environments. While these hydrothermal features are undeniably beautiful, they also pose significant and extreme danger. The hot springs, in particular, have been responsible for more injuries and fatalities in the park than wildlife encounters have been documented. Since Yellowstone's establishment in 1872, at least 22 people have lost their lives due to incidents involving the park's hot springs, and that's just what's documented. These accidents often result from individuals venturing off designated paths or ignoring safety warnings, underscoring the importance of adhering to park guidelines to ensure visitor safety. And in this episode of Vanishing Trails, we delve into two heartbreaking stories of those who pay the ultimate price in the pursuit of Yellowstone's geothermal allure. It's a beautiful June afternoon in 2016 as 23-year-old Colin Nathaniel Scott, a visitor from Portland, Oregon, made a tragic decision that would cost him his life. As he and his younger sister Sable had left the designated boardwalk in the Norris Geyser Basin. One of the most dangerous geothermal areas in Yellowstone National Park. They were searching for a place to hot pot in the park's boiling pools, a risky act despite the park's many warnings. For those of you who don't know what hot potting is, it is essentially just getting into, well, a hot spring that's not too hot to boil you and using it as let's think of it as a natural hot tub. However, in the Norris Geyser Basin, the ground is notoriously unstable and the geothermal waters are scalding, with some areas reaching temperatures well over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Deputy Chief Lorraine Varese emphasized the danger of that area, describing it as very dangerous with boiling acidic waters. Yellowstone actively posts closures to keep people out of these perilous zones, not just for the safety of the visitors, but to protect the park's incredibly fragile geothermal resources. But on that afternoon, Colin and Sable decided to venture off the path as they climbed several hundred feet up a hill near the Pork Chop Geyser, specifically looking for a hot spring to soak in, while Sable filmed the entire excursion on her phone. She would never have guessed that she would have captured a chilling moment right before the tragedy. According to the official incident report, Colin leaned down to check the temperature of a hot spring when the ground beneath him suddenly gave way. As he slipped and fell into the pool, his body quickly disappeared into the deadly waters. Search and rescue rangers arrived at the scene, finding Colin's wallet and flip-flops, but the recovery efforts were hampered by a sudden lightning storm. And as the next day, when the storm finally cleared, the boiling waters had done their grim work. And Range of Arrests reported that in a very short time, the waters had begun to dissolve the body due to its extreme acidity. The tragedy serves as a stark reminder of the risks present in Yellowstone's geothermal areas, where the beauty of the landscape is often matched by its unpredictability. Ranger Veras put it best, saying that it was an unforgiving environment, one that claimed the life of a young man who only sought a place to relax in the park's scorching pools. Our next story takes us back well over a century to 1905, where another Yellowstone visitor fell victim to the park's deadly geothermal features. Miss Fannie A. Wanks, a 40-year-old woman from Washington, D.C., was touring the park by stagecoach when she met her tragic fate at the hands of none other than a hot spring. On August 18th of that year, Weeks and her tour group, led by Robert Wiley, were visiting near the Grand Geyser. Wiley, who had a reputation for being an interesting and knowledgeable guide, warned Miss Weeks to stay away from the hot springs, but her curiosity got the better of her, and she wandered too close to one of the geothermal pools, most likely near the Turbine Geyser. While attempting to clean up her glasses from the inevitable fog, Miss Weeks stepped backward into the pool, sinking up to her hips in water that ranged between 105 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Get out! Get out!
Robert Wiley, acting quickly, jumped into the boiling water to pull her out, suffering burns to his legs, his arms, and his hands in the process. The burns were only made worse by her heavy petticoat. Soaked with scalding water, it was just too much for Weeks to handle. And despite Wiley's heroic efforts, Weeks was left with just burns that were so severe that recovery seemed impossible. She was taken to Livingston's Ebert Hospital, where she lingered and suffered for 3 weeks before finally succumbing to her injuries on September 4th. Her remains were shipped back to Washington, D.C., where she was buried in the Rock Creek Cemetery. Wiley, who had also been severely burnt himself, required skin grafts to treat his injuries, but lived to guide another day. This week's tragic fate is one of the earliest recorded deaths due to Yellowstone's geothermal dangers, a stark reminder of the perils hidden beneath the park's seemingly serene surface. While Yellowstone's geothermal wonders may be breathtaking, it's nothing to be taken lightly, as these stories are a stark reminder of how quickly a beautiful sightseeing tour can go to, well, putting you in hot water. From the scalding waters of Norris Geyser Basin to the treacherous pools near the Grand Geyser, park's beauty comes with a deadly price, and for those who venture too far from the safety of the boardwalks, as we've seen with Colin Scott and Miss Fannie A. Weeks, the geothermal features that make Yellowstone such a unique and beautiful national treasure also take lives in the blink of an eye. And speaking from firsthand experience here, even in the winter, when the boardwalks are not nearly as well groomed or can consistently change visibility depending on the weather, one false step where you think is the boardwalk can send you into pools as deep as 15 feet. So always remember, when in Yellowstone, heed the warnings and respect the land's power. Thank you for listening to Vanishing Trails. And remember to stay curious, but most importantly, stay safe.